Good morning, good morning, and good morning. And you're probably saying, okay, Barbara, why are you on the screen? And where is the incredible, legendary Mr. Barry B. Mixon? He's not far away, and hopefully he's watching. Yes, it's a takeover. Barbara Beckley has taken over the Gem Hunter Story Show. No. First of all, my name is Barbara J. Beckley again. I am the CEO and founder of the Diamond Factor Experience Media Network and also the overseer and producer of the Diamond Factor Network, which is Mary Barry B. Mixon, is his show on every Wednesday. So I just want to explain because sometimes in life, things happen, right? As happens. I'm not going to start off by cursing so early in the morning, but it does. You be like, why does something happen like that? Oh, the world, what's going on, with the world right now in your mind, because you're saying something's not happening right. Well, sometimes you have to change the pattern when something happens. So, I'm always vulnerable. I'm always open when it comes to things. And right now, we're going to be showing you an encore of Barry's show from last week about Earthy, because it was so important. It was so detailed and in depth. It was awesome, because all his shows are awesome. All shows are amazing, right? But we're going to redo an encore because we had some technical stuff today. Technology wasn't our friend, okay? Let's just put it that way. And I don't believe in canceling shows. And repurposing and replay is our friend. So I want everybody out there to repeat with me. Replay and repurposing is our friend. Because if you didn't get a chance to see things before or a show before, sometimes you get to see it again. And then it gives you another intake or another outlook on it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to show one of Barry's wonderful shows last week with Earthy. I hope I'm saying it right. See, that's not me with names. So I apologize for that. But I'm going to be playing that. So we're going to be kicking it off here so we can get started, because I want you to get everything. And I'm going to ask you to pull out a pen and a piece of paper right now, because class is in session, as they say, and Barry B. Mixon is our instructor to teach us and bring us in a world of storytelling, to understand that storytelling is so important, to understand what the value of you. So with that, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Here we go. I'm sorry, I just get so excited.
Comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao, hola, buongiorno. Bienvenue, Wan Ying, bienvenidos, benvenuta, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each and every week, for the past 3 years now, I get a magnificent opportunity to take you on a journey to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get one magnificent moment to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. There is nothing in the world like gemstones. When you think about it, the one thing that everybody agrees on, no matter your race, no matter your culture, no matter where you live, is gemstones. Gemstones intoxicate. Gemstones create passion in people. And what I do is I take those stories and I use them as a template, as a inception point, as a bridge to help people around the world, to empower people to discover the value of their own stories. Let me first start. This is 2023. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all my friends and family. And let me start by thanking all of you for your continued support, your love, your comments, good and bad, about this show. It's really, truly an honor to be here in front of you and literally having the opportunity to take something that I'm so passionate about and share it with all of you. Happy New Year. Happy birthday. Barbara, go ahead and bring up my slide. Happy birthday to those of you who are born in January. This is your month. This is the day, the month that you were born. So happy birthday to each and every one of you. When this is the time of year, you guys are Capricorns, okay? Capricorns. And this is the time of year when people start to think about their lives, when they start to reflect on where they've been, where they want to go, different jobs they want. People talk about losing weight. This is the time of year when I used to be in the personal training business, and this is Christmas for personal trainers and gyms, because everybody's coming in ready to, I'm going to lose some weight this year. I'm going to get a new job. And what I want to talk about today is perhaps a different way. I think a more effective way for you to achieve the goals that you want in your life. And that is, as I talk about each and every week, to tell a story. See, when you tell a story, it's not that these different plans and techniques out there and these different buzzwords that people use to empower, it's not that those are bad. Those are very useful. But when you tell a story, when you look at your life as a story, when you look at your life as a body of work, it gives you more power. It gives you more control, because when you understand that when you see your life as a story with a beginning, a middle, a continuing journey, when you begin to see the people in your life as not just strange people, but characters in your stories. We have heroes, we have extras, we have villains, and many of us know the villains in our lives. But the empowering part of understanding your life as a story is understanding that you have control. You are the director. Not only are you a character of hopefully the hero in your own story, but you're the director of it. You get a chance to change your life and make it whatever you want it to be. When I look at this month is the month for, when I talked about the Gem Hunter, this is the name of my business, the Gem Hunter. I don't think I've ever really officially said it. Gemological appraisals and storytelling services, art, science, history, and magic. Because what I discovered, as I tell you every week, that when I began to study gemstones, what I saw was the connection between gemstones and people. An appraisal is basically a story. When you look at a piece of jewelry, when I examine something, this is my lab, and these are all the different minerals and different birth dates and all the different characteristics that gemstones have. And when you look at different gemstones and their characteristics, their traits, you begin to see the analogy. You begin to see how it's all put together. So this month is Garnet. Garnet is the gemstone for January. Now, what's interesting about Garnet is that what people believe Garnet is. Most people, when they think about Garnet, they just think about a red stone, kind of just burgundy red stone. I can't tell you how many times I have talked to people who were born in January, and I say, well, what month were you born in? They'll say January, and they'll say, oh, you're a Garnet. I'm like, yeah, I don't particularly like that color too much. It's just, and I have to, it's amazing how many people don't know about what Garnet is. Garnet, first of all, I'm from New York, so Garnet is the state stone, the official state stone of New York. And when people think about Garnet, this is what they see. They see a beautiful burgundy wine-colored gemstone. But Garnet actually comes in a variety of different colors. Garnet comes in 8 different colors. They all have the same, what's interesting about Garnet is they all have the basic same molecular structure, But what's interesting about garnet is garnet comes in 8 different colors. Garnet comes in about 4 or 5 different molecular structures that is very similar and all of them are very similar, but there's just slight differences in the molecular structure. There's slight differences in the way garnet is set up. And it's the difference, in Francais, la différence, that makes garnet a truly special gemstone. When I think about garnet, I remember reading about garnet for the first time. How many of you would have thought that this was a ruby? This is garnet. This is one variety of garnet. And I love this picture because you begin to see the richness of what garnet is. That stone that you thought, in fact, most people think that garnet is a semi-precious stone, but that's not true. Garnet, for thousands of years, garnet was one of the primary gemstones that people loved. I was reading about garnet and I was amazed at how garnet in the Talmud, and I put it on Facebook, in the Talmud, the ancient Jewish text of Jewish culture in political and intellectual life, the Talmud tells the story of Noah and how Noah was on the ark for a year and 1 day. And the only light that he had throughout that whole journey was garnet. Was these gemstones. These gemstones gave Noah the light to move forward. And what you should get out of garnet, one of the things that you should get out of garnet is the difference, how you can be something similar to something else. You can have the same molecular structure as something else and yet still be different in your presentation, in how you interact with the light. So as you begin to reflect on your life, you begin to reflect on what you want to do in 2023, one of the things that you have to think about is who you are as a person. How do you interact with the light? What types of environment? When you look at a gemstone, when you appraise a gemstone, you have to consider, where did it come from? How was it made? Where did it grow up? What area did it grow up around? What was around it that ultimately created the gemstone that you see? This is garnet. This is a variety of garnet, and we'll go into it throughout this whole month of January. This is the variety of garnet that most people don't even know about. Yeah. So as you begin to reflect on your life, on the things that make you you, I want you to think about garnet. And one of the quintessential examples of the symmetry, the similarity between not just garnet, but all gemstones is Urte. I entitled this show, Behold the Transformative Magnificence of Urte. I've known about Urte for a long, long time. I just didn't feel Urte is like Mozart. Urte is like Miles Davis. When I think of Urte, I think about my father when I was riding in a car as a young boy, and my father was playing jazz and real jazz, Thelonious Monk type jazz, Charlie Parker type jazz, and it felt so boring to me. I was like, oh my God, Dad, you listen to this? And I remember him looking at me, just looking me up and down, and said, you know what? You're just not ready yet. So I didn't feel ready to talk about just what and who Urte was. This is Urte. This is Urte. And some people know of him, but like a gemstone, you don't really appreciate what he has done, the way he transformed the whole world. This is the father of Art Deco. The father of Art Deco. So the buildings, all the buildings, the Chrysler Building in New York, all the movie, The Great Gatsby, that was Art Deco. And Urte was totally involved in that. When you see 1940s type of 1930s, 1940s type of style, that's Urte. So who was Urte? Who was this man that revolutionized the whole world in regards to fashion? And one of the things that you'll see and notice about Urte when you see pictures of him is that he's different. He was gay. He was a homosexual man. So what I'm saying is, I want you to put that in your mind to understand that the pieces, the things that he had to go through as someone who was different. My friends and family who are part of the LGBTQ plus community understand that. And even if that is not your lifestyle, that's not who you are, you understand about being different. But what I'm saying is, just like Garnet, that difference is what makes you who you are. Urte's real name was Roman. He was Russian. He was born in a rich aristocratic family. His name was Roman D. Turdov. And he was born to a naval family. Literally, his family was not only just part of the aristocracy, but also they were a naval family. All his family, his father, his grandfather, his grandfather before that, his father's father, were naval officers. In fact, his father was an admiral. So what his father, like most fathers, his father wanted him to get into the Navy. It was just expected. You're a boy, you go in the Navy. And Urte didn't want that. Urte said, "No, I'm not doing that." And of course, he had to go through. So imagine, think about it. You're a boy, you're in Russia, St. Petersburg, and you grow up in a very testosterone, masculine family. You're your father is a naval officer, and he wants you to be in the naval. And Urte wasn't down with that. He was like, "No, I want to do something different." In fact, there's a story that when Urte was about 10 years old, his family went out to some function, and he was so upset about his father making him or wanting him to become a naval officer. What he did was he went home and took all his toys, all his military toys that his father had been giving to him all these years, and just threw them out the window in a temper tantrum. And of course, that went on for years. And then once Urte got old enough, he said, "Okay, all right, cool, fine. I'll go to school. I'll go to school to be a naval architect," because he was drawing since he was 4 years old. So he told his father that he wanted to be a naval architect and help design ships. So his father was like, okay. And I say this because think about what your father or mother had to put you through, what your family put you through, because you were different, because you saw the world in a different way. So Urte Roman went to Paris to supposedly enroll in a naval architectural school, a naval design school. Urte never got there. He never went to the school. In fact, when he got to Paris, again, he was from Russia, born in Russia. He moved to Paris because he was fascinated with the style, the transformation that was going on. This is during the time of Picasso and Cubism and Surrealism. These are what was going on. Paris, France was the epicenter of fashion and design and drawings and just avant-garde type of thinking. So when he got to Paris, he didn't go to the Naval Academy that he was supposed to go to. He immediately signed up for a design school, a fashion and art design school when he got to Paris. And he didn't want to embarrass his family because his family was all that. His family was like the Rockefellers. You know, they were just known. And because he didn't want to embarrass his father or his family, he created a pseudonym. So he used his initials And in English, you pronounce those initials RT. But in Francais, in French, it's RT. So thus the name RT. And I forgot the accent. Sorry. Sorry, Catherine. I forgot the accent. My French instructor. Pardon moi. But he created that pseudonym for himself because that's what he wanted to do. He knew that he didn't want to do what his excuse me. He knew that he didn't want to do what his father, his family, he wanted to be something different. It was inside of him. It was like music. And what Urte did when he got into the fashion scene, his instructor, his first instructor, and the name slips my memory right now. His first instructor was the person who created haute couture. His instructor created that. And this was during the time when women were wearing corsets. Women were wearing corsets, and he wanted to free women. He wanted to free women because those of you women, you know, I just saw it on History Channel. Corsets were very restrictive. Women couldn't even breathe with those things. And Urte and his instructor said, let's free him. This piece right here, Urte created when he was 14 years old, not in the art, this is more in the Art Nouveau style. But this was what he created when he was 14 years old. This is Urte. I mean, when you see him, look how elegant he is. His hand, the placement of his hand, the way he's holding. And when I talk about stories, you have to understand that the pieces that I'm about to show you is because of who he was. I'm not saying being gay was necessary, but when you look at his design, because of his relationship with his sexuality, the way he saw women, Urte decided that he wanted to do everything in his power. He wanted to dedicate his life to beauty, to the beautification of women. He wanted to let the world see and visualize women in a completely different way. He literally created a piece called Clair de Lune, and he dressed in that style. He created a piece called Clair de Lune, and this is Urte. This is Urte, just fabulous. This is before RuPaul and everybody else. So imagine being in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and this is who you are. And that's one of the amazing things about jewelry. Jewelry transcends. Jewelry transcends sex. Jewelry transcends gender. Same thing. Jewelry transcends sexual orientation, political orientation, government, race. So this is Urte. This is him dressed as an Egyptian pharaoh. This is him. And he wanted to it wasn't enough for him to just dress and have that relationship with his sexuality and women. He wanted to create them. He wanted to transform them. He wanted to let the world see women in a completely different way. Look at him. This is Urte. This is who he is. Look at just even the way his foot placement. It's just, his hands, his whole thing. So obviously, he was different. And what you should do is you should see the liberation. This is one of his early pieces. Look at the liberation. Look at this woman just flying. How many of us, ladies, how many of you want to feel that waiting to exhale moment? That moment where you're just flying within your spirit. This is your spirit. This is the spirit that Urte wanted to capture. This is the light that Garnet is. Imagine you're on Noah's ship. There was no internet. There was no lights. You're with all the animals, all the species are, and the only light was that garnet. So when Erte did his work, he used the energy, the power of women. He celebrated women. Look at the designs. And the question, as I go through these pictures with you, I want you to ask yourself a question. Do you think it was possible for him to create this if he didn't see women in the way that he saw women? Again, this is the Victorian age, when women were seen and not heard, when women were in the background, women weren't even respected as full human beings. Again, the United States, women didn't even have the right to vote. But look at the flowing line. When Erte started out as a designer doing set designs, theatrical design. So back in the day, Erte was he was the one. He was, you know how you have all these designers now, Pierre Cardin, just different fashion designers. Erte was that person. He was the beginning. He did all the work for all the great female stars during that time period. He did Josephine Baker's outfits. He did Sarah Bernhardt's outfits. All the women from that period of time, women came to Erte and literally just said, make me. What do you see when you see my shape and form? So as you begin to start thinking about reflecting your life and what you have to do, you have to see it as a story, because it's the things wherever you are right now is the manifestation of all the people, all the characters that have come in your life. So that sense of order, that sense of symmetry. That's the word, symmetry. Look at the symmetry of this dress, of this outfit. Look at the lines. Look at the power of this woman. So he started out as set design and doing costumes for theaters and movies. He did Ben-Hur. He did a lot of the great 1930s, 1940s movies. I mean, that's just, to me, when I look at Erte, when I first saw the book, and I don't have it available right now, and I'll show you on this other end, on the other side after the commercial. When I saw the book Erte, Art to Wear, it was magnificent. I just thought, I didn't know anything about Erte, but when I started seeing his designs, here's the taste of Erte and just jewelry. Here's a jewelry box, the treasury box, and this woman is being lured in by jewelry. So Erte always knew that he wanted to create something in jewelry, but at the time, the technology wasn't at the same level as his mind. In fact, there was a part of him didn't think that anyone would really want to wear art. So when you look up Erte, you see these pieces. You see these pieces because the jewelry came much later. It came much later, but this is what, look at this woman. Look at the shape. Look at the way she's standing. All the ladies, girls that's out there that do all these fashion runway, this is it. This is the source. This is where it began. Look at this mermaid. His use of colors and shapes and patterns speaks to what a woman is. It's Erte that really made me begin to see the connection between gemstones and women. And of course, I mean people as well. No offense, gentlemen and guys. But when you look at a gemstone, when you talk about what gemstones can do, when you talk about the intoxicating power of a gemstone, you have to consider a woman. You have to consider the shape. You have to consider the lines, the symmetry. Look at this. Look at this gorgeous piece. Look at the dress. Look at the flowing patterns. Not restricted like a corset. But this is what he did. This is the kind of work. And when you think about it, you have to understand that this was a person who was different. So we look at, oftentimes, we look at jewelry, especially, we look at, well, really anything, but when we look at jewelry, we don't know where it came from. We don't understand really the value of it. I appraise gemstones. I appraise jewelry. And the thing that amazes me is how people will buy pieces and they don't even really know the richness of it. Where did it come from? How was it made? Who was the person who saw it? Look at this. Look at the colors. There's a gemstone, garnet, that has that color. And he incorporated those colors, those patterns, those styles in his work. Look at just the power of that. A woman rising out of the water, where the water, you don't know where the water begins and her body ends, or where the water ends and her body begins. Look at it. Look at this. Is a queen. So what Urte would do is Urte would use designs. He would use stories. He would use stories from the Greek period of time, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Byzantine mythology. For those of you who know, Byzantine Empire came after the Romans. He used all these stories to create his work. This woman, this sculpture could have been a queen from any culture. And he celebrated that. One of his greatest pieces was this one. It's called A Symphony in Black. Just look at it. Just simple elegance. Here he is in a figurine. A lot of Urte's work started out either as a print or one of his designs from his show. And then later on, he got into, literally in the 70s, he really started getting into making figurines and sculptures of his design. So this is a symphony in black. Look at her face. Look at the way her face is framed. Look, her makeup is just simple elegance. Everything in this day and age where women feel that they need to just expose themselves. She's fully clothed. She's fully clothed, except just the exposed shoulder. Even the dog is symmetrical. It's symmetrical. And it's not about whether or not women should look like that. It's not about body shaming. It's about what Urte was. You have to realize the period of time he was living in. What Urte was about was empowerment, was beautifying women, showing women what they can become. Not to be outdone by the symphony in black. Here is symphony in white. Same picture, just with a woman with a darker hue. Look at her face. Look at the exoticness of her eyes and her lips. The way it flows. The way the darkness of her arms and her face with the black background and the white of her starts the uniform, her outfit. How she interacts with the light, just like a gemstone. The amazing thing about Urte, to me, one of the greatest lessons that I got out of Urte or learned from Urte, was that Urte didn't get into jewelry until he was 80 years old. Yeah, 80 years old. He had done decades of work because literally, again, he started making things. He was 14. By the time he got to Paris, he was 19, 20 years old. So it wasn't until he was 80 years old that he decided to take all the things that he had learned, take all the lessons, all the ideas, all the visions that he had, and he had been doing and set designs, and then he made the decision that he was going to create something for women. Look at the power of that. And we'll talk about how you can incorporate that in your own life when we get back from the other side. So, yes, and we'll talk about all that later on. Thank you, Barbara. That was so exciting. Because it's really about value. People ask me what I teach. I teach science and history to children all over the world, but what I ultimately teach, not only just in my classroom, but even here to you, is about value. It's about value. What you can do, how you can see the world in a different place and use that. You can use that power. That's what As a Man Think Of talks about. I know you guys are so tired of hearing me say that, but just think about the simplicity of that statement of taking what you are and creating something. Earthe decided to take metals and precious gemstones and create something. He took an idea. This is a drawing. This is one of his drawings that those of you who can draw can understand the detail, just the pure detail of that drawing. And then to be able to take that drawing and create something. Look at that. Look how beautiful that ring. So when you buy that ring, you're not just buying a ring. You're buying a piece of art. You're buying a manifestation of all the properties that's in those gemstones. That's what you're buying. You're buying those gemstones. You're buying the significance of gold and diamonds and blue topaz and garnet. That's on your hand. So if you believe in those healing properties of what those gemstones can do, then you understand what you're wearing, what you're manifesting on your hand. He took drawings of figures and mythical creatures in Greek mythology, in Roman mythology, and he created something. So here's a serpent that he created into a gold and diamond serpent with emerald eyes. So my point is, as you begin to look at your life and look at your life that has already passed, 2022 was whatever 2022 was for you. But when you start to look at what does 2023 look to you, the way you have to do it is you have to see yourself as a story. This is Manhattan. That was the name of his piece, Manhattan. And those of you who are from New York understand what building. This is the Empire State Building. Magnificence. The rays of light coming from this piece of jewelry. Imagine wearing that as a brooch. Imagine this. I love this piece. I love just it's just the whole way, the shape of it. Imagine it laying on your décolleté. That's the area right here. Your décolleté. Imagine that laying on your chest with a beautiful dress that complemented just the elegance of that gold and platinum and the diamonds and the different gemstones that's in there. Look at this ring, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's just breathtaking. And again, think about what he had to go through. Think about, he just didn't, as a man that was openly gay back, it's hard to be openly gay now. Imagine 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. Imagine. But yet, because he created something that everybody loves, he worked in a universe that people human beings understand on some level about what gemstones is, and he decided to use his powers, to use his gifts, to use his training to create something extraordinary. These are earrings. The title of these earrings is called Paradise, because Erte often used, because of his desire to empower women, to his desire to let women be free. A lot of his designs are based on birds or animals that represent motion, represent an elevation. So phoenixes and different types of birds. So this earring set is was called Paradise. He oftentimes created pieces that elevated women and made women, changed the roles of women and men. So this piece I really enjoyed. When I looked at it, I just saw the guy at first, and then I saw the woman sitting there, graceful elegance, with the chains around his ankle, around his wrist, and around his ankle. So this piece is called Samson and Delilah. So this is where he took his, and this piece started out as a print. This was one of his drawings, and then he actually made it into a belt buckle. He made it into a gold belt. Look at the musculature. Look at the structure, the symmetry of the muscles, the shoulders, the thighs. That was a belt buckle, because he made pieces for men as well. This piece is called I think it's called La Femme, the woman, La Femme, but it speaks to a woman's essence, a young woman's essence. Remember how little girls, especially in Europe, in near that time, the 50s, 60s, the girls would wear the little hats and everything else. That's what this represents. This is that cuff that he made. Look at just the symmetry, the teardrop shape, the design of his earrings, using different onyx and lapis. Yeah. I love his pieces. He created a whole series of, once he really started getting popular in jewelry. Again, the man was 80 years old. He might have been about 85, maybe close to, he died when he was 98. So I think these pieces was called his Alphabet series. And he created this, he was somewhere in his 80s. Imagine those of you who feel lost, those of you who feel old, those of you who feel that, the best parts of you have gone. No, this man created a whole series based on different shapes of human beings and related it to letters. So this is part of his Alphabet series. And it happened, I think it was like in the 1970s when he finally brought this out. They did a whole show. And this is the letters. Look at the E and the F. Look at the wings. Look at the designs. Look what he's capturing in that. This is a J. I mean, like, wow. So if you're wearing this and your name is Juliet, okay, imagine how you feel. This is a woman with her leopard, or her jaguar, actually. The L. And he created this in prints, and now it's a lot larger than it really looks, but the pendant wasn't that, the brooch wasn't that large, but it was large enough just to see the level of detail. Look at the intricacy of the way the diamonds are placed, the different settings, the whole set. This is a black onyx setting. Look at the way it balances out with the square and also by itself. Okay, there you go. Here's a woman on a pole. So because he worked with dancers, because he worked in the theater industry, he loved theater. So many of his pieces were dedicated to women, but not just theater, but women in theater. The beauty of women being in theater, of singing and dancing. Remember, think about the Roaring 20s. Think about all the shows that came out Broadway. I love this piece. This is basically like two phoenixes together. Look at that. Look at the ruby. Look at the gold. Look at the gemstones there. And when I appraise something like this, which would be breathtaking to do, you have to look at not only just the weight of the metal. Gold is what, $1,700 an ounce right now? But I would have to factor in, if I'm appraising this piece, how was it made? How was it designed? What is out there that looks just like this or anything like this? That's what you have to do for yourself. You have to appraise your own story. If there's something in your story that you don't like, or there's a character that doesn't work in your story, you're in a relationship that doesn't work, you're in a job that doesn't work, then I understand you're getting upset about it, but once you understand you can put your life in terms of a story, then you understand that you're the director. That's a character. If you don't feel like you want that character in your life, you can change it. You could create something different. Here's another design, an idea, a conscious. This is where you are right now. This is 2023, and you're literally drawing a design in your mind. You're literally creating a story in your mind of where you want your life to go, and this can be the result of it. Something that started out with just a drawing, just something, a brief thought in your mind of what you saw, the way you interact with the light, the way you see the world, that drawing in your mind, in your spirit, in your consciousness can become something extraordinary. Yeah. These are called the foxes. The foxes, where he links the two foxes together in this beautiful necklace. Look at this. Look at and when you look at, think about what he had to do. The part of the thing that made Urte's pieces so extraordinary and phenomenal was just the attention to detail. He didn't just put something that, okay, mass produce it. That's why you don't see Urte's pieces everywhere, not genuine pieces, because of the level of detail. The level of details, the level of consciousness that he had to do to create it. Here's a piece that started as a print. It started as a beautiful print of a woman, of a queen, and when I look at this, I think of Barbara talks about queens. That's what I think about when I see a queen or an angel or your mom or your mom. And here's, if you look at it, there's this single lock. There's this single lock on her wedding hand, on her wedding finger, that's linking her to something, to someone. And then he made that. He made that into a necklace. And when you look at the use of pearls and lapis and gold and ivory, all those gemstones, all the connections that those gemstones have on a metaphysical level, he had to take those and put them all together and create something that had meaning. Look at these rings. These are rings. So you have the same basic style of the ring, but each one of these rings have different gemstones in them. Therefore, if you understand the power of gemstones, then that means that each ring, even though they're similar, each ring manifests a different level of different power, a different energy. And part of that energy, most of that energy, is what you believe it to be. So if you're wearing this stone, if you're wearing this gemstone and it's aquamarine, And we'll talk about when March comes, we'll talk about aquamarine. That power, that aquamarine and diamonds and gold manifests a certain level of energy, whereas the garnet or the diamond has a different energy, has a different power. He saw that. He understood that because he worked with women all the time, because he was gay, he was able to create this. Is it necessary, I guess, to be? I don't know. But all I know is when I praise gemstones, when I look at pieces like this, I say to myself, on what planet, on what drug would I have to take to be able to even see something like this? And that's what you have to say for yourself. What makes you different? How do you see the world, and how that vision, the idea of way you see the world, how can that be manifest into something that empowers you? It doesn't have to be jewelry. I don't care if you fix buses for a living. The way you fix a bus, the way you take care of patients, the way you teach a class, the way you take care of your children, the way you take care of people, where you take care of people in their lives, where you take care of people who are making their transition and they feel beautiful. You're literally showing them heaven. This is a woman flying on a mythical bird, the phoenix, in heaven. He saw that. He saw that as an old man who have gone through, think about it. He was born in 1870. He literally saw World War I, World War II. And yet this is what he could still manifest. These are the things that he saw in his mind. Look at this. Look at this ring. Look, just how did he come up with that? How did he see it? How did he see the balance? And the only way you see that balance is you have to look at the whole thing. It's like music. It's like music. I read once that if Michelangelo was to come back to life, they said that one of the first persons that he would want to meet is Urte, because of the way the world knew that Urte saw. Look at this ring. Same ring. Just a different, in fact, same ring, but look at the use of the gold. Look at the use of the gemstones here, where you have more of like an ivory. You have ivory here versus gold, and in the ivory here with the garnet. With the garnet. This is garnet. And look at the way garnet balances out the gold and the diamonds. And this ring. This is a set of earrings. Imagine wearing these earrings with a beautiful dress, any color, just any. I mean, these earrings go with everything. Imagine wearing these earrings and the power of that you get out of that. And if you don't just like gold and brush gold and diamonds, here's the silver version for you. So as you begin to reflect on your life, as you begin to say to yourself, what is it that I want to do? No matter how old you are, here is evidence. 80 years old, the man was still doing jewelry at 98 years old. What can you do with your story? This is 2023. This is the 4th day of a brand new year. This is your opportunity. This is your moment. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. This is your time to create something extraordinary in your life. To look at All then, we talked about this. Let's go way back. Look at your notes. Those of you who take notes, think about your notes. What's the 7 elements of a story? Sound, passion, the hero, the antagonist, which is the most important part. What was Urte's antagonist? The fact that he was gay. The fact that he grew up in a naval family. His father was an admiral. You don't get to be an admiral, especially in the Russian Navy, without just having a sense of, that whole male testosterone thing. He was just like, no, I'm not doing that, Dad. I'm not doing that, Papa. I'm going to do something different. In years, decades later, who do we talk about? Do we talk about Admiral Chertoff? No, we don't. Maybe if we were in Russia, we do. But do we talk about Erte? Yeah, we do. And that's what stories do. Stories make you 3 things that a good story does. And I say this not every week, but all the time, that a good story only does 3 things. A good story is memorable. A good story calls you to action. And most importantly, a good story makes you need to tell a friend. That's what this is about. That's what this whole show, this whole program is about, getting you to understand value. And if you can see the value in a gemstone, if you can see the value in gold, that's what this is, 24 karat gold. It's a top. The oldest toy ever in the world is a top. But if you can see the value in that, then that same belief, that same system will allow you to see the value inside yourself. If, and only if, as I always say each and every week, if you take the time to discover the value of your own stories. I hope you enjoyed today. Again, my name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And I can't wait till next week till we talk more about the wonders and beauty of the gemstone garnet. So until then, au revoir, atatella, voila.